Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of psychological manipulation. We're not talking about turning you into some kind of puppet master. This is about understanding the subtle ways people try to influence each other every single day. Why do they do the things they do? What motivates their decisions? These are the questions we're going to unpack today. These tips can help you understand and navigate social interactions better. You're going to learn how to spot these tactics, how to defend yourself against them, and yeah, maybe even how to use them yourself. You ever notice how sometimes when you're talking to someone, they kind of start mirroring your movements? They cross their legs when you do, or maybe they lean in when you lean in? That's not a coincidence, folks. That's mirroring, and it's a powerful psychological tool. It builds rapport and trust, even if we don't realize it's happening. Think about it. Have you ever felt instantly comfortable with someone you just met? It might be because they were subtly mirroring your movements. Now, I'm not saying you should go out there and start mimicking every single thing someone does. That's just gonna creep them out. But being aware of this technique can give you a real edge in social situations. If they lean back, you lean back. If they speak softly, you lower your voice. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes. This one's a classic, folks. The foot in the door technique. It's a psychological strategy that's been used for decades, and it works like a charm. Ever had someone ask you for a small favor, something you can't really say no to, and then bam, they hit you with the real request? That's it in action. It's subtle but incredibly effective. See, the human mind, it craves consistency. We like to see ourselves as reliable and trustworthy. Once we've committed to something, even something small, we're more likely to agree to bigger requests down the line. It's like a snowball effect. It's like we've set a precedent, and we don't want to look like we're going back on our word. We want to be seen as consistent and dependable. Think about it in terms of sales. This technique is a staple in the sales world. A salesperson might start by asking you simple questions about your preferences, getting you to agree with them. These small agreements build rapport and trust. Then they slowly escalate to suggesting products. And because you've already said yes a few times, you're more likely to say yes to a purchase. It's a gradual process that feels natural. The key here is awareness. Being aware of this technique can help you make more informed decisions. Recognize when this technique is being used on you, and you can make a conscious decision about whether or not you want to play along. It's all about staying in control of your choices. Now this one's the opposite of the foot in the door. It's called the door in the face technique, and it's all about starting big and then compromising. Picture this. Someone hits you with a request so outrageous, so over the top that you practically slam the door in their face. But here's the thing. They were expecting that. You see, that initial request, it wasn't meant to be accepted. It was meant to make the real request, the one they had up their sleeve all along, seem reasonable by comparison. Let's say you're trying to sell a car for $5,000. You might start by asking for $8,000. The buyer balks, of course, but then you reluctantly come down to $5,000 and suddenly, it seems like a steal. Recognize the pattern. When someone hits you with an outrageous request, don't be afraid to call them out on it. Remember that time everyone and their brother had to have those Tickle Me Elmo dolls? It was like a fever that swept the nation, with parents and kids alike caught up in the frenzy. Lines around the block, fights breaking out in the aisles, all for a toy that sings a silly song. It was a perfect example of how scarcity can drive people to extreme behavior. That, my friends, is the power of scarcity. When something is hard to get, we want it even more. We are hardwired to place a higher value on things that are perceived as scarce. It's a psychological trigger that advertisers and marketers know all too well. Think about those limited-time offers or exclusive deals. They prey on our fear of missing out. The idea that we might miss an opportunity makes us act quickly, often without thinking. Advertisers use this all the time. They create a sense of urgency that compels us to make purchases we might not otherwise consider. They tell you there are only a few items left in stock or that the sale ends at midnight, creating a sense of urgency that pushes you to buy. This tactic is designed to make you feel like you have to act now. Scarcity applies to information and opportunities too. When something is exclusive or secret, it becomes more desirable. If someone tells you a secret and swears you to secrecy, that information suddenly seems more valuable. It's the allure of the forbidden or the rare. The key to overcoming this manipulation tactic is to ask yourself, do I really want this? Or am I just being influenced by the fact that it's scarce? Taking a moment to reflect can help you make more rational decisions. Let's talk about first impressions, folks. You know how it is. You meet someone new, and they're attractive, well-spoken, maybe they even have a nice smile. Suddenly, you're more likely to see them in a positive light, even if you know nothing about their character. That, my friends, is the halo effect. It's this cognitive bias where our overall impression of a person, brand, or product influences how we feel and think about their character. Think about celebrities, for instance. We often attribute positive qualities to them based on their fame and success, even if we've never met them personally. The best way to combat the halo effect is to be aware of it. Take the time to get to know someone or something before forming an opinion. You ever walk into a store and see a shirt you like, but the price tag makes you gasp? Then, you see another shirt, not quite as nice, but significantly cheaper, and suddenly, that first shirt doesn't seem so bad. You've been anchored. The anchoring effect is a cognitive bias where our first exposure to a piece of information, like a price, heavily influences our subsequent judgments. This tactic is used all the time in negotiations. Let's say you're buying a car. The salesperson might start by showing you a model that's way out of your price range. Then they'll reluctantly show you a more affordable option, which, compared to that first car, seems like a bargain. The key to resisting the anchoring effect is to be aware of it. Know what you're willing to pay, and don't let a high anchor price throw you off your game. You know that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you do something nice for someone and they return the favor? That's the principle of reciprocity at work. It's the social norm that says we should treat others as they treat us. Now, this principle is a powerful force for good in the world. It encourages cooperation, kindness, and builds strong relationships. But it can also be used as a tool of manipulation. The key here is to recognize when you're being manipulated by this principle. If someone does you a favor, it's perfectly fine to accept it graciously, but don't feel obligated to repay the favor if it makes you uncomfortable or compromises your values. Ever wonder why those infomercials show you all those people raving about a product? It's not just to fill airtime. They want to show you that real people just like you are thrilled with what they're offering. Or why nightclubs create a sense of exclusivity by having a line out the door. It's all about creating a buzz and making you feel like you're missing out if you're not part of the crowd. It's all about social proof, folks. When we see others approving something, we are more likely to believe it's worth our time and money. We are social creatures, and we are hardwired to look to others for cues on how to behave, especially in uncertain situations. This instinct helps us navigate the world more safely and efficiently. If everyone else is doing it, it must be the right thing to do, right? This herd mentality can be both a blessing and a curse. This principle is why testimonials and reviews are so powerful. They provide us with the reassurance that others have tried and approved of a product or service. We are more likely to try a product or service if we see that others have had a positive experience. It's like getting a recommendation from a trusted friend. It's also why trends catch on so quickly. When we see others adopting something new, we don't want to be left behind. Now, social proof can be a good thing. It can guide us towards making better choices by leveraging the experiences of others. It can help us make decisions more efficiently and avoid potential dangers. By following the crowd, we can sometimes find the safest and most effective path, but it can also lead us astray. The crowd isn't always right, and following blindly can result in poor decisions. Just because everyone else is doing something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Sometimes, the best choice is to stand apart and trust your own judgment. You know how the same story can be told in completely different ways depending on who's doing the telling? That's the power of framing. It's about how information is presented, the words that are used, and the context that's provided. The same glass of water can be described as half full or half empty, right? Same situation, different framing, different emotional response. Advertisers use framing all the time. They might describe a product as 90% fat-free rather than 10% fat, even though it means the same thing. Politicians are masters of framing. The key to resisting the framing effect is to be aware of it. Don't be afraid to question the narrative and look at the situation from different angles. Ever notice how a lukewarm bath feels scorching hot after you've been swimming in a cold pool? That's the contrast principle at work. Our perception of something is influenced by the things we compare it to. Salespeople use contrast to make products seem more appealing, They might show you a house that's in terrible condition before showing you the one they're actually trying to sell. Compared to that first house, the second one looks like a palace, even if it has its own set of problems. This principle applies to our personal lives too. The key takeaway here is this: be mindful of the comparisons you're making. Choose your reference points carefully, and don't let the contrast principle distort your perception of reality. So there you have it, folks. 10 psychological principles of manipulation that are used every day to influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Now I know what you're thinking, this is some deep, dark stuff. But remember, knowledge is power. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.